Welcome to Beans and Breakdowns, a podcast dedicated to bridging the gap between specialty coffee and the heavy music community. On this episode, I'm joined by Bryce Kibler, Head of Taste and Education at Epoch Chemistry in New Brunswick. So grab a fresh cup of coffee and wake the fuck up! What's going on, Caffeinated crew? On this episode, I'm joined by Bryce Kibler from Epoch Coffee, Canada grown, Canada bred. You're not bred, but the coffee is. Anyway, how's it going this morning? It's too early for me, man. It's a Monday.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Normally, I'm not up this early either, but I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here and chat a little bit about coffee and music as well.
We were talking a bit earlier about like, it's always funny when you run into somebody who lives in Canada that's like American, and you kind of see how they've adapted into like the Canada way, I guess. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely.
So it's like you kind of ditch like the style up here. You get the work pants, you get like, you know, for the winter, you got to outfit yourself.
Oh yeah, you get that Carhartt vest. Yeah.
That's the first purchase, right? The Carhartt, the Doug vest. You got to have a nice toque, not a beanie.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. You get the Blundstones.
Oh yeah.
Get that ball rolling. Come on.
The Blundstones aren't here. That's like a very, I think, new
Atlantic Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we do docks in Montreal.
Heard. Yeah, I have a pair of docks and a pair of Blundstones. I kind of go back and forth, but
damn.
Yeah.
So
dip my feet in both pools, you know.
Man, I'm on track to get the Red Wings.
Dude, yeah, the Red Wings are nice. So one of my coworkers just got a pair, and I'm like, is this just a footwear podcast? Now we're just gonna talk about boots. I'm down, but
I'm cool with that too. Do you watch that Anvil Rose? Do you watch that channel on YouTube? Yeah, where he cuts the boots and stuff.
Dude, so good.
It's good. I don't know why, as a 30-year-old man, that is what attracts my attention the most, is watching people cut shoes in half.
It's just exciting. I don't know. Something exhilarating about it, you know?
Okay, this is not a footwear podcast, but I'm always down for weird, obscure tangents. But let me know what you got drinking on your side.
Right now I have a geisha. It is washed geisha from Forest Coffee. So we bought it from. It's one of our roasts. This is one of my favorite coffees, and it's hopefully going to be one of the coffees I'm planning to compete with for my espresso course. It's very floral, very citrus, super clean, like no bitterness in it, really soft acidity, nice sweetness to it.
Sweet. You're competing?
Yeah. I mean, I compete in barista this year. So the past 2 years, Connor, who's one of the founders of Epoch Chemistry, has competed in barista. The first year, which was 2 years ago, he got 8th. Last year, he got 5th. And this year, we decided, instead of me just acting as like a coach or like, I guess, glorified helper in a way, I'm going to compete as well. So we're both going to compete, and I'm pretty stoked. It's going to be in Montreal. So hopefully I'll see you.
You know, I haven't even known the information on it being in Montreal or anything, because I play a lot of hardcore and I'm really involved in music. And so trying to keep track of the events happening in coffee as well is so hard.
Well, they're not the most organized events in coffee anyways. So there's that too. Yeah. No, it'll be good. It'll be, I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's March like 14th to 17th.
Come on.
Right in that ballpark. Yeah.
Dude, I'm literally touring in Atlantic Canada.
Bro. Hey, well, you can go to the shop. You can go to Epic, get some coffee.
We'll swap places. You'll just be here. You can just take up my spot, and then I'll go there. We'll do like an exchange program.
But yeah, that's what I'm drinking. Yeah, it's pretty yummy.
Sick. You know, always a big fan of geishas, especially like the soup. I found myself liking the super clean ones a lot, like the delicate ones, because I feel like it can be maybe challenging to your palate when you do drink a lot of like funky anaerobic or fermented coffees, it's nice to mix it up with like something very jasmine-y or something very
Yep.
like
Yep.
like slightly floral, but not over like not an Ethiopian floral.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What are you
I
drinking?
I have something from the barn.
Nice. Classic.
Yes. Classic, right? I watched, do you know that show Unorthodox? It's like a limited series on Netflix.
Yeah. 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 That was really good, actually. I watched that like 2 months ago.
Yeah, I just watched it a couple of weeks ago. And the main character, when she arrives to Berlin, the first place she goes to is the barn, like,
Mm-hmm.
or it's a shop of the barn. And so you see the
Yep.
coffee in the background. I was like, you know what? I can get the barn at Eclair. I've never tried it. Like,
I
definitely.
love Claire. You know
Yes.
Jair?
No, so I don't know anybody who's there. Like, I see the same kind of
Okay.
people, but I know one of them has competed in barista championships
Yeah,
because I've heard
Jair.
him talk.
Jair's a
Yeah.
homie. Him and his wife, they are amazing. Yeah.
I need to go talk to him
Yeah,
because
they're really sweet people there.
the most of the time I go is Saturday and they are rammed on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
absolutely rammed. But this is their, oh my God, Shantawene. It's from
Is it
Sonoma.
Ethiopian?
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's anaerobic Ethiopian, which is insane.
Yeah. I had that coffee. It might have been a different process or variety, but I had a coffee from um, that place from Gardelli. It was really good.
The first bag I ever bought from them was Gardelli, and that's like a coffee that will change your life.
Yeah, they are very good at roasting coffee, and they know it. The last time we ordered coffee, like at Epic, for them to be a guest roaster, they sent like cutout of Ruben holding his trophy.
Sonny had some stories about Gardelli as well. Like,
Yeah,
they have to like they have to like they ask you to do like social media stuff or something like that as well, to like send
you have
pictures
to like
of
make
every.
a post or something, and originally to like start. Yeah, it's like it's interesting.
It seems painfully European. I'll say that.
Yeah, yeah, certainly.
But yeah, the barn, like you said, legendary Berlin roasters, and this has got some passion fruit strawberry notes. The passion fruit is so like forward, I would say. Like it's got like the funky sour, but still like some nice sweetness.
Yep. Nice. Sounds like
Cheers.
a good cup.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Now I regret only making like one cup of it. I should have done a double cup.
I may have already finished mine, so that's why I might not have cheers to you.
I was like, this man's not cheersing. What is going on here?
Yeah, no, I already finished it. I just made a small brew. I did like 200. So it was like, I did 14 grams, 200, a little bit higher dosage, but yeah.
Yeah, that's like what, a 14-1 ratio almost?
Yeah, but I find with especially like wash geishas like this, I can make them taste super juicy and not quite as tea-like. So they taste more like you're drinking an Ethiopian, but with just slightly different notes that are a little bit cleaner.
Like I've played around with some other like brewers. Like I have a Tricklet, which is cool if you can dial it in, but if you can't, it is the biggest pain in the ass.
And if you have time.
Yeah, dude. Like if you want to sit there for 10 minutes for the drip down, then by all means.
Bro, I did the same thing with like an AeroPress, just grinding extremely coarse and trying it. And I tried it side by side with a Tricklet. And the AeroPress took like a lot longer and it ended up being a lot colder, but the cup result was like pretty similar.
That's like, the Puck Puck?
Yeah.
I've really been curious to try that because like I like that idea of a very slow dripped iced coffee, but I don't want to buy that Cofega.
Yeah.
I don't have space or money for it.
Yep, that's valid.
Yeah. So I do think that the AeroPress does get a bad rap from a lot of coffee professionals. Like,
100% it does. I love the AeroPress. It's
not my favorite brewer, but you can do anything with it if you know how to do it. I've used it as pour over before.
Yeah. It's like just a weird thing I tried, and definitely not an everyday thing, not even a weekly thing. But the AeroPress is what like one of the brewers that got me into coffee and like realizing how different variables actually change stuff. And I think the one time that like really like made me go, oh shit, like the AeroPress, you can actually do like so much with this was, it was just, I think it was like right in the middle of COVID, and they tried to do like the AeroPress competition, and I like joined it and I did it. I got knocked out in the first round just because it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. But the prep and like trying to get ready to do that taught me so much through like trying recipes and drinking a lot of shitty coffee. The more shitty coffee I drink, the more I learn. It's great.
Yeah, it teaches you so much. It's like, wow, those notes are fucked. I
Yeah.
need to do something else.
Yep. There was a while when I only brewed with the AeroPress. I just recently started grabbing it again because I got like sick of it. But yeah.
I definitely use it for like, it's a one trick pony for me doing espresso. But that's just because I've got the grind setting is right. Like if I have to switch it really quick, because my wife loves espresso tonics and like she likes espresso martinis and things. So I know what grind setting on my Encore I need. I know my like time and everything. So it's just so easy. And I'd prefer that over a mocha pot any day.
Yeah, certainly.
Just for the cleanup alone.
Oh, big time. Take you 2 seconds.
The mocha pot, I've got to like scrub everything. That screen gets all nasty. Like, no.
Yeah.
Underrated brewer, AeroPress. This is the thing is like what you're saying. If you want to get into coffee and it's daunting to like be like, oh, I need the kettle, I need this, I need that. An AeroPress is so easy.
Dude, the 3 options to like brewing setups to get into coffee, and this is what kind of ties into like what we do at Epic as well as like help people start on their journey in coffee and introducing specialty coffee, and as pretentious it can be and snobby as it can be to the average public that just drinks Tim's every day, and making it fun and exciting and also just educational. But the 3 setups are Clever Dripper, super easy, good option that's different than the French press. It's easy for cleanup, also good for travel. There's a Hario set that's like $30 online. It's the plastic one with the glass carafe, comes with filters. That you can't really beat that for the price point. And then also, if you do have to get into coffee, you can just buy a different brewer and you have a travel brewer with a plastic V60. And then AeroPress. Like those are the 3 like no brainers. Like they're easy, good options. And then it just depends on how much time you want to put into it in the morning or what you want to use really. But those are the 3 that I always gravitate towards recommending to people.
There is a rule of law I have where basically friends that express interest in coffee, like they don't really know where to start, but they want to do more. I always get them the $30 V60 kit as like a gift.
Dude, it's so cheap. It's perfect.
Yeah. And then like from there, I'm like, just if you don't have a grinder, go to a coffee shop, buy a bag that sounds interesting and tell them you're brewing on a V60 and they'll grind it for you on their beautiful EK43.
Yep.
And it'll be better than anything you can do at home.
100%.
Let's say you're on an en route. You're driving from Montreal to Toronto. You have to stop. You need a coffee. There's nothing, right? You've got Starbucks. You've got Tim's. What's your coffee order?
Oh, I'm going to Don's.
Where?
Going to McDonald's for sure.
There's no McDonald's.
There's no McDonald's? Oh, geez.
Yeah, I know that's
just
a cop out. I already
learned
McDonald's already has the best. It's the best fast food coffee.
It's by far the best. Okay, just Starbucks, Tim's. I'm either going like classic double at Tim's or I'm going like something real sweet at Starbucks. Like, not gonna lie, I love a good pumpkin spice. Or like when we go, me and my partner go grocery shopping. My partner's always like loving the Starbucks in the grocery store, and we always end up getting something, and I always grab something, and I love it every time. It's not coffee, you know, but it's like its own thing. So I don't know, either or. I'm not super picky. I'm like a pretty not pretentious coffee snob, to be honest. So
I like the double. I'm not mad at it.
Yep.
You learn to love it, right?
It's classic. Well,
for me, I know it's classic here. For me, it's not like it's like I don't even know what the fuck this is. But like when I moved here, I got a cup of black Tim's one time because they're like, you gotta try Tim's. They didn't tell me what to order, so I drank maybe 4 sips and threw it in the garbage.
Doubles taste like the coffee my dad used to make. Just a bunch of cream in it.
Yep.
Some like pretty shitty black coffee. Call it a day.
Same. Like when I was a kid, my mom would rarely drink coffee, but when she did, it was like a little bit of coffee, a lot of half and half.
Yep.
So,
oh yeah,
that's perfect. I don't feel guilty. That doesn't feel like
me neither. Me neither.
What's the, do you have I know you said PSL and you're not pretentious, but there has to be a drink where you like cringe when you order it, but you push through.
Not really. I don't think so, to be honest.
Wow.
Like I would order anything. Like I don't really care what people think. So like if I do feel like, oh, I shouldn't be ordering this, I don't really have that feeling. I just order what I want.
I envy that because I've been to Starbucks and ordered the cold brew with mocha cloud foam. I still feel a little bit of shame.
Was it good?
I mean, no.
No, damn. Wasn't even worth it.
It was more weird than anything, right?
Okay.
Like,
just like the two textures, or?
Yeah. Like it just feels like an unnatural like combination of things, because the cloud foam, like it looks like it's supposed to kind of drip down into the coffee, but it doesn't do that.
It just sits, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it creates this weird, thick whipped cream like consistency that you're sipping the coffee through, and then once you hit the bottom, it just stays amongst the ice.
Weird.
It sucks.
We're just releasing a drink in our cafe that is going to have aromatic foam on the top, but it's just thin layer, and it's like cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, cloves in the air. But just made me think of that.
That's dope. That's like molecular cocktail making almost.
We're very inspired by Bar Chef. I don't know if you're aware of Bar Chef, but the way that they approach building cocktails. And then we're also really inspired recently by a book called The Art of Coffee. The name is escaping me right now, but it's a guy from the Midwest who pretty much is just kind of taking coffee to the next level, in my opinion, and really like with what you can do for like specialty drinks. So we were like super inspired and kind of like took it to the next level with our next menu that we're releasing. It should be re-releasing while I'm gone, actually, but we have like 4 new drinks coming out for our like seasonal menu.
So the whole thing with Epoch is that the menu constantly changes because it's like a moment in time, right?
Part of it. That's more so just like our seasonal menu that like always changes. So we'll do like quarterly, so for a year, and then we'll have like our classic cafe menu on the top of the board, and then we have a tiny tea menu, and we have a pour over menu that's simplified. So we have a 6, 9, 3 option coffee wise. That's the way that we section off coffee. 6 being your first cup of the day, like 6 a.m. It's a coffee tasting coffee, chocolatey, nutty, Brazil, Guatemala, Honduras, Peru, that range. 9 being coffees that taste good without cream. So wash coffees, Colombia, Ethiopia, a lot of African coffees there, Kenya, Burundi. 3 being your afternoon coffee. It's something you don't want in the morning. It's too weird. So it's this funky, experimental. Think like Panama, Colombia, Costa Rica. Interesting processes from El Salvador, that sort of stuff. And then we do have some exclusive coffees that are just at a too high of a high price point to fit in those brackets. And we also have auction lot coffees this year. So for the first time ever, we bought auction coffees. We got 4 this year. We got 1 from CGLE, so Cafe Granja. It is a yellow Bourbon called Garnet. It is quite possibly the best coffee I've had in my entire life. It is coffee tastes that are normal with soft stone fruits, florals, nice juicy body, like no bitterness. It's just like an elevated version of a good coffee to the extreme.
Yeah.
So that one's super fun. And then we have 3 auction coffees from Doterra in Brazil. So we have Whoosh Whoosh, Hermosa, and Acacia.
Oh, Brazilian.
So that's
super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super cool. And the way that they did their auction this year, they put like dates on their lots from like when they were first planted. So it would be like lot 1980, because that's like when the first lot was planted, or like the first lot of like geisha or whatever, for example. But it was like super cool how they laid it out this year, because it was like their 100th year of being a farm. It was pretty dope. Yeah, but that's kind of how our menu is laid out. We do change our menu in the tasting room, because we operate as not only a cafe but also a roastery and a tasting room. And in the tasting room, we run a 4-course coffee tasting, and we do that 6 times a week. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 9 and 11. And the idea is kind of bridging that gap and making coffee fun, and having it be a place where you can ask questions about coffee, not be super judged, have some hands-on stuff, and be wowed. So it's kind of like all those things tied into one. And when Epoch first started, it just started as that tasting room, and then kind of grew into what it is now, with us doing multiple different things, from subscription to roasting to teaching classes to whatever.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to see it grow. I was just sitting with Connor the other week and just talking about like how far we had come since like I first knew Epoch, and it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, since I've learned about it, like from Morgan and hearing about, I've asked like Sonny, and obviously like Sonny's right there, so he knows. And everybody that I've talked to that like knows coffee, they're like, oh no, Epoch's on like a different level. Like they're doing something very different for like Atlantic Canada, but also like even in Montreal, when I look at what you guys are doing, we don't even have that. Like we have this very ingrained, embedded coffee culture that some people do try to like push the limit on sometimes, but a lot of it is like still very much espresso culture.
Yeah.
Which has its place. That's fine. Like that's cool. It's not for me. Like, but as a whole, I do envy having that weird, funky outlier, which I'm waiting for somebody to do in Montreal.
Yeah, it's fun to be a part of Epoch and be a part of something. I wouldn't go as far to say it's new, just because we're taking already existing ideas and just applying them to coffee, but something different. It's fun to be a part of it, because you go from having people walk in that like drink Tim's every day, and they're like, oh, I'll get a double. And first of all, we never like argue with that. We're just like, yeah, sure, we'll make you something good. Sounds good. We'll just make them a latte and call it a day. But like going from that and then serving those people, sometimes if they're willing, or if they're sitting in something crazy. Like for example, we were serving one of the drinks from the book The Art of Coffee, called the Motorhead, and it's Granny Smith apple caramel with infused pork fat, espresso, chai concentrate, frothed milk, topped with smoked sea salt, ground dehydrated Granny Smith apple, cinnamon, and then it's smoked, so it's in like a cloche. Like imagine coming into a coffee shop, being like, what do you guys have? We talk you through a couple options. You decide you're just going to let us pick, and we bring you over something in a dome with smoke in it, and we open it and we explain that to you, and you try it, and it tastes like a nice warm hug and sitting in the living room. Like I like being a part of creating those experiences. I think that's needed. I think experiential retail in general, not only for coffee, but also a lot of different aspects in different industries, is needed. And I think it's something that people are looking for more and more post-COVID, because they don't just want to buy shit. They want to do stuff with people they love. And this is something that people can do, which is super fun.
Yeah, that's sick. Like that's incredibly, like it's something that over the past like year or two, I guess post-COVID, because I'm a sheep to a certain extent, but like the experiential processes of like, I don't want to go buy clothes at fucking H&M. You know what I mean? Like I want to go to a shop where I can ask them specialized questions, tell them what I like, and then they're able to like point me in the right direction.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I'm just not trying to be like I know that you want to sell something and I want to buy something, but like help me. Make this something that like is like makes me happy to spend money on. Like, cause I don't want to spend money, you know what I mean? But like I have to. So like even the cocktail game in Montreal, I'm sure you know, is like insane. It's crazy. And like over the past few years, getting very into cocktails and things like that. When you describe that the Granny Smith apple drink, it's like Damn, yeah, I've been in bars where that happens, and it's like I can remember those places exactly. I can remember the smells. I can remember the taste. Like it's important for people's
Big.
perception of coffee to also change because it's not just fuel. It's not just something to get you through the
Mhm.
day. It's something to be
Well, it
respected.
is, but it is more too.
It is, yes. It's there. There's spectrum, but it is also something to be respected and to take a moment and be like, whoa, this came from coffee. Where does the coffee come from? Like, who's doing this?
Exactly.
How many hands has it touched? It all goes back to that, cycle
Yep.
of producing. So
Yep.
that's sick.
And honestly, we're able to have those conversations in how far coffee can go, more so in the tasting room because people book in, and when people pay for something and they have a time set aside for it, you kind of have their attention.
Mhm.
So you're able to kind of nudge them and have them ask questions or give them information that they'll actually retain a little bit more rather than your typical interactions in a cafe.
Yeah.
With that being said, we don't have many people that come in just to like grab a coffee and go. Most of ours are like, you come in to sit for a coffee, you come in to read a book, you come in to have a good conversation. Like it's more that than a workspace or a place to just grab coffee and go.
Right.
It's a community focused and experiential focused space. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very excited. I'm bummed that we probably won't be there at the same time, but I am very, very excited to stop in the cafe and check it out. Like I've already got my list on my maps where we're kind of going through.
Yep.
Um,
Sick. It'll be a good time. I like the Maritimes. It's being from upstate New York and then moving to the Maritimes is a little bit different because like I can back home I could drive like an hour and hit a city like Syracuse, Buffalo, Rochester, Ithaca. Like here you got to drive a little bit farther than an hour to hit a city, but it's still really nice and it has a similar vibe to be honest.
yeah. It's an adjustment because even from Savannah, you drive 2 hours north, you're in Charleston, 2 hours south, you're in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Here we're surrounded by nothing.
Yep. Literally. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like 2.5 hours to Quebec City, but then like that's just like older version of Montreal. So you got to
Yeah.
drive to like Toronto or
No, I stopped by Quebec City for the first time last year and I really liked it. It's really nice. I went to a nicer restaurant. What was it called? Something Pettigrew. It was like, it's pretty dope. It's like kind of fine dining ish, but like pretty approachable. It wasn't like too pretentious, so I liked it. But
did you grab any coffee there?
yeah, me and Con went to, I think we went to this. No, that was when we were in Montreal. We went to De Terroir in Quebec City. They were newer. They had just opened up. They were like 3 or 4 months old.
Okay.
I do not remember the owner's name, but they had a really interesting milk that was like 4 point something percent from like local farmers. And that was super dope. That was super dope. Their milk drink slapped. Yeah, because of that milk. It was really good.
It's weird being here. Like because one of my friends runs Balance Roasters and he uses higher fat milk. So he uses like 3.25, which I had never seen before moving here.
Yeah, that's what we use right now. I would love to use different milk, but that's another conversation.
Yeah. Y'all have good dairy out there. Y'all can do it.
The dairy mafia is a real thing, man.
Damn.
Yeah, dude, they'll get you. It's all the same milk. It's just different. And it's hard to go through like the right regulations to be able to have the same milk. And we're just running into the problem where we don't think it would quite be worth it with our size yet to like actually work out a contract with anyone. So
everybody here just uses like, what is it? Nature Pure or whatever. The big milky people.
Yep.
What is your life-changing cup? The cup that was like the awakening.
Oh man, I don't know. A lot of people do have like one cup that like changed it all. I don't have a lot of cups. I have a lot of coffees that played a part in my journey. So for example, there's one coffee called Tres Dragones. It's from CGLE. So one of the farms that we bought the auction coffee from. It is a blend of a bunch of different, just like field coffees that they have. I think it's like 7+ different varieties, so it's just a big blend. But they process it really interestingly. It's a natural anaerobic fermentation. I don't remember the specifics about the fermentation, but that was one of the coffees that I was like, oh shit, like this is like super cool. And then that's when I started to get into processing. And then kind of first full circle, this year we got the New Year's crop of that coffee, and we're going to be able to release it, which I'm super stoked about. And we bought direct for that one and reached out to them, which was a pain because none of us speak Spanish. So we had to like hire someone in our community that spoke Spanish to like work with them, email back and forth with them. And
right.
Anyways, we eventually got the coffee. Coffee tastes great. Super stoked to have that coffee again and serve it. That's like one. Another one is Mzungu, which is like, it means white man. It's like kind of like an insulting term in like Africa, but it was a coffee that I had from Gardelli. It's a natural anaerobic coffee from Uganda. And that was very good. It was milk chocolatey, very blueberry, and it was the cleanest I'd taste a coffee that was processed like that. That was the coffee that Connor gifted me at my bachelor party when I went to Epic for a bachelor party. So there was like also that as well. But there's many coffees like that have played a part or like shown me another thing about coffee and kind of sparked a new pursuit. Yeah.
You don't have like that one, like the first time I tasted a washed Ethiopian and it was like blueberries. Oh my God.
There was never that for me, but I will say like the first coffees that I got into was Ethiopians. And it was just because my older brother was brewing on a Chemex and I was like, oh, this dude's so fucking cool. And then that started it all.
The Chemex Ethiopian story. Yeah. It's always
everyone, man. It's Ethiopia or Colombia, because Colombia, you have all the weird processing and you have like other stuff, but I find it's always one of those two. And I find if people have a Kenyan early on, they hate it because they just don't understand it, which makes sense.
It took me a long time to get back on the Kenyans. Like the Burundis were cool for even like, it's not as earthy and kind of like, it has a lot more of like the nice stone fruitiness usually, but I had an Adito and that's what really did it. It was like from 2013. There's one that all the dudes that are old heads know about still. And it was like from Counterculture. It was strawberries and vanilla.
So Counterculture was who I like brewed and like drank when I started out, because they were carried in one of like the nicer grocery stores back home. And I was like, oh shit, these guys are cool. I used to drink Apollo like exclusively.
Dude, Apollo and Hologram. Those were the best ones.
Yep. Yeah. Dude, they're great blends. Even to this day, they still stand up.
They really do. And what was the one? Apollo, one of them is a single origin. I can't remember. Anyway, my first barista job was in a Counterculture shop.
Sick. That's cool.
So they were like the big leaders in the South before people were like doing that.
Yeah. Would you consider Onyx that now?
Yeah, but it's so far west.
That's true.
Maybe in the South they've got black and white now.
Black and white, yeah. Black and white slaps. I had a coffee from them that tasted like cinnamon. And it was like straight up like cinnamon. It was weird, but really good. It was just like, I had never tasted coffee like that. I was like, oh shit. I still remember we reached out to them because we were going to bring them in for a guest roaster spot and like for our subscription service. Because we do like a 2-bag a month, 1 bag's us, 1 bag's another roaster that we're like hype about. And we were bringing them in for that and for guest roaster in the shop. And they sent us, like, you can't buy from them unless you get their samples and try them and give them feedback, which is like super sick.
That's cool.
So they sent us samples and we like actually took time to cup them and like take notes. And that coffee like blew me away. And also all their coffees, they're crazy. They're crazy.
They're like veterans. And I think a lot of them used to work around the Counterculture, but then also like, I think one of them was working for what is now Second State in Charleston, but it was, I think, Black Tap at the time. Black Tap was like one of the cool shops in Charleston. Like whenever we'd go up and hang out, the first stop was always Black Tap. They were like the first place I went to that had cold brew on tap. That was like the big thing. Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see these like, they kind of form and fold into each other. So like all of those shops became Second State. They kind of all merged together. And then I think they roast now too, which is weird. But Yeah, it's interesting to see where people end up and change to and things like that. Like one of my
Yep.
buddies he lives in Baltimore, and he was working for I think a shop that carried mostly just brandy wine. And I was like, "You're super
Cool.
lucky, dude." And he's like, "Oh, I just drink it all the time."
Brandywine's cool. Brandywine's really cool.
Brandy wine and ceremony.
Mm, nice.
But yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that. Life changing cups. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Is there one that you've tasted that you remember just being horrible that also formed your opinion?
There's definitely been some. I I remember there was a funkier coffee that we had that I was going to try to. This is when I was like in the role of like roaster. After Rochelle left, I kind of stepped into that role and like kind of became like the roaster for us for a while. And then I since have passed it off to someone else. I'm just because it's not something I'm thoroughly excited about. And there's other stuff, parts of the business that I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one coffee that was like a funkier coffee, a little bit higher price point, and I was like, "Yo, Connor, I'm gonna try this like weird roast profile." I'm like super hyped about it. I like did it. I don't even remember exactly what I changed, but I like did it and I cupped it and it was ass. It was so bad, and I just like I don't remember what I did. I made an excuse for it, and then I just like had Connor try it, and he was like, "Yeah, no," and then we just kind of donated the coffee, but it was like that one was bad. That one was bad.
I'm trying to think of like just horrible cups that I may have had. Mostly in Europe though, man. If you can't find the right shop, like the UK, it's so hit or miss.
Interesting. I've never been over there. I look forward to eventually, but yeah, I there's a lot of like shops that I've been to that I'm just like it's very rare that I go into a shop and I try coffee and I'm like, this is really good. Like it's most of the time it's like, oh, this is good. Or like, man, this is I would not have this again.
Right.
Very rarely have I been to shops where I'm like, oh shit. One of the oh shits for me was Hey Happy in Victoria. They're incredible. I loved their coffee. They don't roast themselves. They only carry gestures. Baristas were extremely friendly. The space was awesome. The food was cool. They had a cool natural like wine selection as well. They're just like all around like a sick shop, and the coffee's hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My friend just moved out to Vancouver, and I'm trying to find an excuse to go out and see him because I know that there's like Palette, Nemesis, but then like Victoria's got a ton of stuff too. I know
Victoria's so much better than Vancouver. Hot take. Not even close. Not even close.
I don't think that's even a hot take. Vancouver definitely has its pitfalls as a city.
I meant more so in coffee.
You think so?
I think the cafes in Victoria are better than the cafes in Vancouver.
Okay, we might have just entered hot take territory then. I was just going for like overall, but you were like, nah, the cafes.
No, overall, I think that's a pretty like common take. But I think with coffee, I had significantly much better coffee in Victoria than I did when I was in Vancouver. I was in Vancouver for a week, and I was in Victoria for like 3 days.
Damn.
Yep.
Well, we'll have to do I'm sure we'll get some opinions from the BC folks.
Please.
Yeah, right.
Love it.
They're gonna cancel Epic. They're gonna like don't.
That's fine. That's fine. They'll never have a competition out this far, anyways. It's fine. We'll always travel. They can stay at home. It's okay.
I don't know, man. They got to pass through Montreal. They might get stuck.
Maybe. Who knows? We'll see.
You had mentioned making coffee accessible, bridging the gap between high-end coffees, like very good, like, you know, like real coffee culture, specialty coffee, I guess, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And then making that accessible for your Tim's people, your people that aren't willing to spend, you know, $30, $40 on a pound of coffee, or even a 200 gram tin. You know what I mean? What are y'all doing that is changing that? I know that you touched on like, you know, the double make them a latte kind of thing, but are you like, how are y'all finding success in that? How are y'all looking to adjust and change that sense of culture, especially in a place like Moncton, which I know is a pseudo coffee desert in a sense?
Big time. Yeah. Great question. So I would say a big thing is language. Like when people come in and they're like, oh, we'll have a dark roast. We don't be like, no, we don't roast dark roast. Like that's such an off-putting answer to that question. We just say, oh, so you like strong, bold coffee. Sounds good. I'll make you something you'll like. Period. You just kind of tiptoe around it and you make them something they'll enjoy. That being said, we're making them a light roasted Brazilian coffee and just using a little bit more coffee when we brew it to make it taste like that. But also, I think just having a welcoming environment that's that level of coffee is a big help, because most of the time when you walk into a cafe, it's usually dudes that look like me, that have a lot of tattoos, that have long hair. I used to have long hair, so I can say that. That have long hair and man buns, and they're just like, oh, you don't know what whoosh whoosh variety is? And it's just like, no, they don't, man. They're just drinking Tim's. But being able to walk into a cafe and just being greeted and having baristas, like we make a point to come out from behind the bar and like talk with you, especially if you're in our retail section, like coming out and making it a very like welcoming environment, I think is the big part. And then also our coffee service is quite slow compared to most. Like we aren't the like come in, grab your coffee, go type of place. That being said, if you want to come in and grab a coffee and go, come buy coffee. We're not going to tell you no, but like all of our customers have an understanding of we're focusing on quality a little bit over the speed. And we communicate that to people just by being like, oh, I have a couple drinks ahead of you. It's going to be about however long, blah, blah, blah. And then like teaching baristas to communicate effectively to customers in that way and like setting expectations is like super important. Because if you walked into our shop, you were greeted, you had a nice time, but then your coffee took like 15 minutes and no one told you it was going to take 15 minutes, you're still going to be like, shit, that's stupid. But if you have like, you're like, oh, I know, like in your head, you're like, I have 10 minutes to putt around the shop and look at stuff or talk to someone or sit down, like whatever. It makes it so much more enjoyable. So I think that's the other big part of it. But big thing is just being there for people to ask questions. Like the moment that you start making fun of people for not knowing stuff or like picking on people for that, like you're not going to change their mind about specialty coffee. You're just going to push them away from it. And at the end of the day, like Epic isn't competing with Zab and Have Fun and other roasteries. We're competing with the larger coffee consumers, which is Tim's and Starbucks. And the more that we take customers from them, the more that our companies will do better. Like we're fighting for a tiny sliver of the population here. They're super niche. The more that we expand that niche, the better. And we do that through experience in the tasting room and also in the cafe.
That's like a really great explanation because, yeah, like I think Moncton, I don't think, crazy coffee experience for course tasting coffee menu. Yeah. I think like, I don't even know. Like I know Moncton is a small city in New Brunswick that most people have never been to, let alone heard of. So like fighting for that niche, fighting for that market is very important, I think, for y'all's community. Because what that does is it creates like more opportunities, not just in coffee, but also for other trades or other
definitely
like restaurants or wine bars or things like that. Like it creates this culture of like service and experience that reaches other places in the service industry, which is extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely. Big time.
So y'all are like a little slice of Scandinavia just right there in New Brunswick. Look at that.
Hopefully not as like pretentious as most Scandinavian roasters, but
I'll tell you, I had some of the best interactions at Coffee Collective.
Okay, the two that I'll say that I absolutely love, Coffee Collective and Tim Wendelboe.
So I haven't been to Wendelboe yet, but I'm going in June.
Sick. Connor went and he said it was life-changing.
Yeah, I'm very excited, especially when somebody like Lance Hendrick is just like, I've been drinking a lot of Tim Wendelboe, and I'm like, yeah, we can't get that. Like that's super expensive.
Yep.
So, also, what's the other one that I'm thinking of that's over there that I'm very excited to try? Last time I went to Copenhagen, it was Le Cabra was very good.
Prologue's over there too.
Dude, okay, that was number one. Like I didn't have time. I was literally about to like go to the airport and I ran to Prologue, got a coffee and had to like run to the airport. And it was so regrettable because it was the best cup I had the entire time I was there.
Yeah. Okay. So I retract my statement about pretentious Scandinavian people. There's just one roaster that I have in my head, but all the other ones, like Morgan coffee roasters, I like as well. They're Sweden, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
They roast some great coffee. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a few in Berlin besides the barn that I do want to try. I know that one of my buddies was saying that Stellar is like one of his favorite coffee roasters. I can't remember the guy behind it, but he's like a Fried Hats kind of guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yep.
But also Fried Hats, insane coffee.
I've never had them,
brother.
Yeah.
That's a life changing. Like going to the cafe. That's like a must do.
Sick. Put it down.
It's sick. Anyway, I can't. I'll get lost. I talk about Scandinavia too much now, even though Amsterdam is not Scandinavia, but I kind of group it in just because Fried Hats is so like Nordic feeling.
Okay.
It feels more Swedish than anything, but it's like just nestled in Amsterdam. It's fucking beautiful. You walk in, there's literally 20 to 30 coffees on the wall, like in marker, and you can get any of them in filter or espresso.
That's crazy. I would love to see how they open the shop.
Yeah.
Like
right?
genuine. I would love to go in there and just like be a fly on the wall. Places that do that and do it well, I'm very intrigued by, because it means that they have a really streamlined process with how they do stuff that make it function.
Yeah.
And that gets me fired up.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like, I think I went on a weekday morning and it was packed. Like it was busy. Like people sitting around, like sitting at the bar tables.
Yeah.
Like it was very, very cool. But I think it has a lot to do with their grinder as well, because they're using one of those like crazy Weber.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're able to like really dial in like espresso or filter like on a dime.
The also other part that could be how they do it is they might vacuum seal, or it might be the way that they store their coffee where it doesn't change day over day. So if they vacuum seal like doses and just do it that way, that's the way to do it. We tried to do that. We just couldn't keep up with it. But I'm intrigued by it.
I think they're also running a freezer. Like they're freezing. Like that's a big thing in Brussels and Amsterdam, was like frozen lots or frozen, like they call them like throwbacks or favorites.
Okay. That's smart. It's probably just the higher end greens that came in vacuum sealed that they just put in the freezer.
Yeah. Wide Awake does that too. They're like, we have like a frozen.
Wide Awake, I did try it. There's customers that we have that moved to Brussels and they came back for a summer and they brought us a bunch of coffee from them. And it was really, really good.
It was very good coffee.
Yep.
Very good experience as well. Like very memorable.
Love that.
I talked to the barista for an hour and I'm sure that it was too much, but he was like, he just kept talking. He's like, do you have time? I'm going to make you this. I was about to make this other cup and I'll just make some extra. And I was like, yes.
That's what it's all about though. That's part of how we make people feel welcome is one of the rules is like, if you're on bar working and you're making yourself a coffee, you got to make one for a customer and just give it to them. And there's just like small stuff like that. Like I love going to a cafe and then people realize you're into coffee and they just start bringing you stuff. Like that's my favorite feeling. I love that feeling. It's something out of the ordinary that makes you feel special. Yeah. It's cultivating moments. Yep.
And also making the customer feel like their opinion is important.
100%. 100%. Oh man. What was the book that I read? The Power of Moments. I don't remember who it's by, but it just talks about creating moments for your customers and for people. And that was a book that like really helps reframe how I viewed like those experiences and how I could also create those experiences for others, which is super sick. But another one to put down in the tabs for you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just taking notes like mentally because I want to read. I want to read more coffee right now. Right now, I've been reading like everything I know about owning a coffee shop. I can't
Yeah.
remember who it's by, but it's the dude from Dublin that runs like what is it, 3FE or whatever coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's just very straightforward and it's mostly
Yeah.
about business, so it's kind of boring. But
You should read, well, let me think. If you want to get into experimenting, read The Art of Coffee. Another one, if you're feeling like super nerdy, The Physics of Filter Coffee is interesting. That one
that's
went over my head the first like two times I read it, but finally starting to understand it a little bit.
that's Montreal right there. That's Jonathan Gagné.
Yep. 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 Trying to think of what other books related to coffee that I'm interested in. So a lot of the books I've been like super hyped about are like more adjacent to coffee in either the cocktail realm or like hospitality or like that sort of thing. But um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just got the Noma Guide to Fermentation for Christmas, and I'm super stoked about that one.
Are we gonna see some fermented drinks at
Well, there's already
Epic?
some like there already are elements of fermentation in a good amount of our drinks, but like this would be next level. I'm pretty excited.
You can kind of ferment fucking pork ribs for like 60 months or something like that, and then like pull them out.
We'll see
make
what we
some
do.
make some weird like jus that you like mix in and shake up. That's crazy. That would be crazy shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
I'm still waiting to go to Noma, but it has to happen one day.
One day.
One day. I think that's the mecca of people who like love the industry. I don't even work in the industry, but I have like this weird love or affectation for it.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like I think it would be like spark new inspiration. Like places
Mhm.
like that just spur you on to try new stuff, like give you ideas. Like, yeah, yeah,
You mentioned that you used to photograph bands, you used to photograph shows. Was that when you were still in New York, or have you been able to do that in Moncton at all?
yeah. That was back in New York. So that was like during the end of high school for me, and then like the gap year that I took after high school before I ended up moving to Canada. And it was mostly at iMatter Festival in
Yep.
Horseheads, New York. It's like really close to where I grew up, like 20 minutes away. And I worked at a little cafe called Turtle Leaf, and the owner was some type of the management for the festival, but he was like pretty high up. But I would always nag him and nag him and nag him and nag him, and I would always get a media pass because I would just like chirp him so much to like get it, and then I would just like be in the like photo pit with people that I definitely shouldn't have been side by side with, but I was able to get some pretty sick photos. And I was able to take pictures of a lot of bands that I never would have been able to, like Kawanashi. I got to take photos of ABR, Fit for a King, not like directly for them, but like of them. And then
Mhm.
I like sent them photos after. Belmont was another cool one too. They were sick. And then just like that kind of pushed me farther into the scene. And my older brother primarily would like go to shows together. And I haven't really been able to do it much in Moncton, but it's also partially because my focus has shifted more into coffee and this side of things. And I sold my camera. I don't have my camera anymore, and like that sort of things. But
Mhm.
maybe someday I'll pick it up again. But that's how I like got introduced to heavy music. I remember the first iMatter festival I went to was I think it was We Came as Romans, ABR, and Gideon.
Oh yeah.
Back when they were like still like pretty Christian.
Yeah.
And I got like super into Gideon, and then like I still really love them, but like that was when I like started to get like really into like Gideon. But
You were a
yeah,
Christcore. You're a Christcore person.
I used to be. I used to be a Christian, so it kind of makes sense.
Same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of those bands were good though. The one that I can't listen to anymore that I like wish I could, but like the lyrics are just like too much for me now is For Today. I loved For Today. It went so hard, but I just can't anymore.
What's the best? This is like the Christ Core test. What's the best Under Oath album?
Oh, see, this is the thing. How old do you think I am?
25.
Okay, yeah, right around there. I'm 24. I never got super into Under Oath until what's the Black album they just came out with?
Erase Me or Disambiguation?
Yeah, Erase Me. Because they were going to be at iMatter the last year I was able to be there, and I took photos of them, and that was fucking unreal. That was like one of the moments, like that was one of the best moments of that, like of me taking photos of any bands was that.
So they are like one of the biggest influences. I feel like because I'm 31, and so when I was in high school, they were like at their peak. Like Lost in the Sound of Separation was the album that had come out. But Define the Great Line was like, that was like the defining metalcore album for the early 2000s, in my opinion. Yeah. And if people want to write in and tell me that is bullshit, that's fine. But I grew up in church, and that was the album that every scene kid at church was like, that's the album. So, but I saw them with August Burns Red and Emery, which Emery is probably my favorite band of all time.
Yeah, they're sick. They're sick. Did you listen to Sped Christian podcast?
Dude, that podcast fucked me up, actually. That's like what's responsible almost for me disconnecting from church.
Interesting. I would love to continue that conversation after this at some point. Like that would just be a sick conversation to have with you. But yeah, same.
Like I deconstruct it, but I wouldn't say that I'm like, and we don't have to get into depth, but I did work in church for a very long time.
The reason I moved to Canada was for Bible college.
That's sick. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to have a follow up with this.
Bro. We'll chat. But no, I never got into those like the earlier albums as much until like last year, because during COVID they were doing like all the breakdowns of the albums and like all of those, and I remember I like didn't have anyone to hang out with. I was just kind of chilling, and I would like sit there and like watch the full thing, and like then I would listen to albums and stuff, and it was sick because it gave me a different perspective on it than just like going back and listening to it without any context. It's weird going back and listening to music sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you on the For Today thing as well. Like it's a lot for me, especially like I knew people who were in that band because I went to Bible college in Alabama, and so
wild. Okay,
that was like their territory. And I think the fucking Matt or Matty or whatever his name was became an apostle or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It was
you can't actually do that, but
no.
So yeah. Anyway, it does put like a weird taste in your mouth. I don't want to say it's necessarily bad. It's just cringe.
Yes. Like some of the albums are still crazy. Some of the songs are still wild, but it's just like, yeah.
Like what was the one that was like, what was the one about Paul that was like the big one that they had off of not Seraphim, but the other one. Anyway, there was one that like we used to sing all the time.
One sec, I'm looking it up. I'm kind of curious. Yeah. Which album was on? Do you remember? Fight the Silence Breaker, Immortal Awake. Or was it one of the older ones? Like
it was Portraits. It was Saul of Tarsus because it had that video of them playing live, and it was like blue.
Okay. Yeah.
That was a bop.
Yep, that was a bop. Man.
But it's crazy too, because like, so are you familiar with Night Swim Coffee?
Yeah.
So the coffee director there is my friend Evan.
Okay.
And we played in a Norma Jean style chaos hardcore band like right after high school. Well, he was still in high school, but I had just graduated.
Yeah.
And so talking with him about this, because he's still kind of affiliated with church as well, but he still like rides for like Silent Planet and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
which even some of their stuff, I'm like, dude, I don't know about this. Like, this is too much. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just very interesting how many of those people like are A, still playing music, or B, like work in coffee or some kind of like very niche industry.
Well, coffee, I feel like is such an integral part of church culture. So there's that tied into it. And that's one of my like hypothesis of it is that, because I've thought about this quite a bit, like, to be honest.
Yeah, like no, I mean I completely agree with you, because while I was working in a church, I was working like I had to split my hours with the coffee shop that was in the front of the church.
Wild. Okay, yeah.
Crazy, right?
Man,
Like,
I have so many thoughts about churches doing that. Um, yeah. Yep.
are they hot
Yep.
takes? They're hot takes, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody, yeah. We don't have to get into it. Anyway,
Yeah.
this is not a church bashing podcast. I still have a lot of love for like a lot of my
Same.
friends, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't watch a church service right now and not like get some weird like cold sweat and hives.
Yep. Nope. I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat.
Cool. Glad to know I'm not the only one out here doing that.
You're not alone, man.
Well, that's sick. Did you ever mosh? Do you mosh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, I found a video of like one of the iMatter ones. I think it was during, whose set was it? It might have been Harm's Way. I think it was Harm's Way. But there's a video on YouTube of me whacking this dude in the face on accident. It's great.
That's always
It got
fun.
sent around my friend group like so much because they've like finally found it on YouTube. One of them was just like watching videos. And he was like, wait a second, is that Bryce?
Man. So iMatter was a Christian fest though.
It was okay. So iMatter was a suicide prevention festival that was run by a church.
Right.
So it wasn't a Christian festival, but they were a non-profit, like anti-suicide, like that type of thing. But they did still like pay bands and stuff, and they would run like fundraisers and stuff for it. But the whole thing was it was a free concert, like a free festival with an insane lineup. So you could come and it would give you a space to like be there. And then they always had like counselors and stuff, like Intense and a bunch of other stuff. It was actually super sick, like the work that iMatter did. We'll see if they keep going. I think they postponed the past year or so. They're having issues with something, but we'll see if they actually do it again or not. But
I just always remember seeing like so many bands play iMatter, and I was like, is this I can't tell if this is like a Christian fest or just like a fest for like, like suicide prevention or whatever. Like iMatter is definitely like a very ambiguous word that could mean one or the other. So
yeah, big time.
Always see bands like Harm's Way is playing. I'm like, how is Harm's Way playing this fest with like again August Burns Red?
Oh, bro, there was one band, I don't remember who it was, but after their set, they like started going off, and they were like, "God isn't real," like, and like all this shit, and it was like a whole thing. They never come back. I don't remember who it was. I'm gonna have to like look at old lineups to figure it out, but I remember hearing that, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Sounds like something Ronnie Radke would do.
Yeah.
Dude's a scumbag. Yeah, I mean, this has really been sick. I like how chill it was, because sometimes these coffee episodes can be so. Let's just say I get feedback from people that are like, that was a lot. Like, that was a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's cool that this one's like really chill, which I know kind of is the whole mantra of Epic, and you being like kind of the person to help guide that culture. It's really cool. It's cool to see that it doesn't have to be pretentious. We don't have to talk about the color of cups to drink out of, or, I don't know, processing and green sourcing. So
I am super down to talk all those things, but I don't think that's the important thing that we do. It's been great to be on here. Thanks for having me, man. Great to connect with you. I expect we'll connect a lot more in the future, but thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me chat. Appreciate it.
I have one last question for you.
Yep.
What's your favorite city for beans and breakdowns?
Favorite city for? What do you mean by that?
Best coffee, best shows. Maybe.
Okay. Probably New York City. Like, to be honest, like to have both, like New York City.
New York City undebatably has the best hardcore.
Yeah.
So, and
then they have some crazy coffee too.
Come on.
I take Suited over Say, but they don't roast. They're in Manhattan. Have you been?
No, we have one shop here that carries it, and that's the only reason I was able to try it.
No, I mean Suited.
No, I haven't tried Suited either.
Okay, Suited's in Manhattan. They're a shop, multi-roaster. The guy that opened it, his dad used to be a tailor. That's why it's called that. But it's like really sick food, crazy coffee service, insane coffee. Just they don't roast themselves, but like that would be my favorite spot in New York City. But Say's killer though too. They're pretty good coffees.
Devotion.
I haven't heard of them.
Ooh. So they only do Colombian source coffees.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And then
are they from Colombia or did they go to Colombia or?
I think the family is from Colombia.
Sick.
And then La Cabra opened their only roaster outside of Ajes, which is sick.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Yeah.
Well, Bryce, thanks again so much for hanging out. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, not a problem, man.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beans and Breakdowns. I want to say a huge thanks to Bryce for hanging out on the podcast. If you are interested in ordering coffee from Epoch or you're looking for a monthly subscription that delivers coffee to you monthly, check out Epoch Chemistry. You can find the link to their website in the description of this episode. They have a lot of interesting offerings, so be sure to check that out. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. You can find out more information about the podcast by following us on Instagram at Beans and Breakdowns or on the web at beansandbreakdowns.com. Until next week, be sure to stay caffeinated and wake the fuck up.